The first of the 5 beard insecurities most guys deal with is going to be a patchy or thin beard. Now, they are 2 slightly different things, and there's ways to solve them in different ways. So let's address kind of the patchy beard first. So first things first, I have a patch right about here. It doesn't grow as thick. I do get a couple hairs there, but like generally it kind of affects the way that my beard looks. And my beard can, as it gets longer, can get a little wispy kind of on the cheeks, as my cheeks tend to not be as thick as underneath my jaw. So I have a little bit of thinness, a little bit of patch right here, and it's something I deal with. But generally, overall, my beard, I would say, is a kind of like a normal thick density, especially my mustache. There are 2 types of guys with patchy beards. There are guys who authentically have a patchy beard. I'm thinking like Keanu Reeves is a famous celebrity. James Franco, another famous celebrity that has a patchy beard. And then there are guys who think they have a patchy beard, but in reality, they don't. Maybe they get like a little bit of thinness here, which is very common in growing a beard out. Or maybe like their beard is so thick that the areas that are not thick appear to be patchy. So the way that you're going to solve this problem is in 2 different ways. So if you have an authentically thick beard that you think is patchy, one, you got to fix your mind and recognize you don't have a patchy beard. The way you solve that is actually to grow it out. You give your beard some length, and the hair will kind of cover over any of those sparseness areas or those patches. Now, if you have an authentically legit thin beard or a patchy beard, typically the thinner your beard or the patchier your beard, the recommendation is to keep the hair short. So you can get away with a little bit of stubble or scruff on your beard, and then focus on the areas that maybe aren't patchy. Again, my mustache is my thickest part of my beard, so if I had, patchy chin area or mutton chops, then what I would do is I would keep that down to a stubble and then grow out my mustache. There's a lot of variations in your style with your head shape, how your hair grows in, all that. So if you're uncertain, you can hit us up to this phone number, and Sylvester, a real person, will help give you style advice on what is going to be the best look for not just your beard, but your hair and your clothing style. The second most common insecurity is that your beard is going to get itchy or it's going to get hot in the summer. I would say these are misconceptions. Your beard can get itchy because what happens is when you cut your beard with a razor, the blade will pull the hair back like this, and then it slices it at an angle. When it slices it at an angle, what you're doing is creating like little points of spears that as they grow out, they will jam into your skin. So typically your itch is going to be around here in your neck where the hairs can kind of point and dig into the other parts of the skin. Basically, the way that you solve this is using products like a beard softener or a utility oil or a utility balm. These products are going to be able to help soften up the hair, especially as that hair gets longer. It's going to condition those hairs. The other thing is I don't even know if this product's still available, but there's a product called the Soft Goat. And the Soft Goat would be something that you rub around on your scruff as your beard starts to grow out. And what that's going to do is help kind of soften up the tips of those hairs after you have shaved. Not immediately after you shave, but after you shaved and then you've gotten a little bit of growth with your beard. That can help soften it up and help minimize the itch. When it comes to the heat, it can feel a little bit stuffy, I think, at times. But the reality is your beard is going to block a lot of sunlight as well. When it gets cold out, it will help keep you warm, help keep you insulated. Really, that is like a trade-off for you. If you can or can't deal with it, suck it up. That's what I do. That's the reality of it. If you want to look cool or if you want to have a beard, you want to have something to stroke, sometimes there's trade-offs, just like there's trade-offs for everything in life. The third most common insecurity that I'm seeing is the texture of beards. Specifically, beards grow in different ways. I would say that my beard tends to be a wavy beard. You might be able to see some of the wave on my cheek. It kind of looks like a wave. There are guys that have more of like a Brillo pad type of beard that is like really small curls. Those are the ones that you see that are just like shaped to perfection. But you can come in with a razor. Mine tend to, at certain lengths, we'll get like little flare outs here. Maybe it looks a little unkempt. It kind of clumps together. The ways that you deal with this is, one, you always have to embrace who you are, what your genetics are. That is always going to be my recommendation for all these insecurities. But in addition to that, you do have some options. So one of the things that I like to do is use a round brush and a hair dryer and a little bit of styling product, a little bit of styling paste. And what you can do is you can style your beard a little bit. So for me, what I'm looking to do is tame some of those waves in my beard so that it evens out and I can have a more intentional look. Now, I don't always like to do that. Sometimes I do prefer the look of a wavy beard, and to accentuate the waves, I will use a boar's bristle brush and go in a downward motion, and that will kind of keep all the waves together. I know it gives it a real nice look. So it's really about working with what you have and playing around with what you have rather than really trying to fight it or change it. If you have like a really thick, coarse Brillo style beard, I would not recommend the hair drying and blow drying technique because it's going to be very difficult to get that straightened. Really, I mean, like that's a great beard. What you can do is trim it a little bit closer to your cheeks if you want like a little bit thinner look, and then have a little bit of a taper out as it gets a little bit longer. The fourth biggest insecurity I see is the color of the beard. Specifically, or usually, is going to be when guys start to get a little bit older. I myself, 43 years old. I don't know if you can see it, but my gray hairs are starting to come in. I think guys might be a little scared of the transition from a colored beard to a white beard, and they get tempted to dye their beard. I would strongly recommend that you avoid that if you can. There's a lot of over-the-counter hair dye products out there, and they do a fine job of coloring your beard, but I think a lot of guys tend to overcolor it. So they go from a natural looking color to all of a sudden trying to color it. They don't nail the color, and then it starts to look like an artificial beard. Basically what happens is if your skin is really aged appropriately, your face is aged appropriately, your hair, recessions are all aged appropriately, then you have this big, thick, dark black beard that is not natural looking, then it almost makes you look older than you are. And it is like broadcasting your insecurities. So my recommendation, if you are starting to lose some color, then try to barely color. I know there's some products out there that just like leave a hint of gray left. That's kind of the goal that I want you to think about, is less is always more. You can always add more color down the road, but it gets a lot harder to take it. Also, beards, when they grow out, if you have a very thick, heavy dye, that little bit of whiteness coming out and the thick, dark part of the beard is definitely a hard thing to maintain. So you're effectively dyeing your beard regularly all the time just to maintain it. So it becomes quite a burden from a maintenance standpoint. So if you can avoid that. There are also guys who have insecurities where they have a red beard or they wish it was a black beard, or they have a black beard, they wish it was red. Again, a lot of that comes down to understanding who you are as an individual and trying to figure out ways that you can love the man looking back at you in the mirror. Once you start to learn a lot of your journey in life is about that very story of loving the man looking back at you in the mirror, then you start to realize life can get a lot better. You can become a better partner, a better father, a better steward of the community, better leader, all because you love that person. You feed off of that confidence. For everyone who has a red beard and wishes it was black or vice versa, it's really the grass is always greener. And this is nothing new out there. This is not a new thing. People have been talking about the grass is always greener. There are people who wish they were in your position, that had your beard color, that had your beard texture, that grew in the way that it does, has your facial structure. So stop hating yourself. Stop hating things about yourself and start embracing it. The other unique thing about beards is because they don't come in at birth, they come in after puberty, then you didn't have that experience of just growing up knowing that this is the way you are. You have these assumptions in your head from when you were younger of what you thought your beard and hair would look like. And then when they do not match those expectations, that's when you're starting to develop those insecurities. So I want to remind you that your beard was always going to be this way. You just didn't find out about that until later in your life. Give yourself a little bit of time to come to terms with this, but this is who you are, and it's totally fine. Just like you may have big or little ears, or you may be tall or short, or big boned or skinny boned. Those are things that you are. a lot of those features about yourself, like the mole that you have on your arm, don't bother you because that's what you've always had. Think of your beard type, your hair type, the same way, that these are parts that have always been in your DNA. It's just showing itself now. The final insecurity that I see is going to surprise a lot of people, and it's too thick a beard. Specifically with guys who tend to be maybe a olive or darker complexion, because they have concerns about looking like a terrorist, the terrorist beards. I think in 2024 that this should be less of a comment, but I think it comes from a lot of people from, certain parts of the world that have seen a lot of conflict with terrorism, really. I mean, frankly, and try not to get into any stereotypes, but historically speaking, a well-groomed beard is going to be your best solution to overcome these insecurities. If you show that you are going to put work into your beard. In addition to that, non-traditional beard styles are going to be more favorable. So think about the beard stash, or maybe you have a big mustache, a little bit of stubble. That's going to be less indicative of, the terrorist beard. If you do grow like a full beard, then maybe make sure you have a little bit of mustache if you can. I know a lot of Sikhs out there just go their full natural beard, which again, like the full untamed natural beard is really a common look as well. Basically, you probably want to avoid the whaler, which is going to be the full beard with a short mustache or no mustache. That's the style you'll probably want to avoid. Hopefully, I didn't step on too many toes with that conversation, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I cut out the intro in this one to appease the algorithm gods. Let's see if it worked or not. Hope all is well on the other side of the internet. Cheers. Keep on growing.